So good evening. We are back to the Spirit's book. Today we start a new chapter, which is chapter 8 of book 2. It's called Emancipation of the Soul. We are going to discuss sleep and dreams. We are going to discuss lethargy, catalepsy, somnambulism, ecstatic trance, second sight, a lot of very interesting subjects on this chapter. But today we are to focus on sleep and dreams. There's a lot of questions on this subject, so I don't think we are going to even finish it, maybe. The first thing is important to remind everyone that sleep is a necessity of the incarnated being to renew energies, to recharge batteries, and when we sleep, we dream. Even those that say that they don't dream, they dream, they just don't remember it. The reports of dreams being foretelling the future has been from history from the ancient ages. There are reports and there are findings about people following the guidance of their dreams. We see throughout history reports of famous people that report they follow their dreams or they receive inspiration through their dreams, and so on and so forth. So nowadays, dream has been more studied by science, but still not focusing, of course, on the spiritual aspect of it. They are trying to find out where in the brain the dream happens, and they still cannot find. Freud was a very important scientist that studied dreams. He was followed, of course, by Jung, that progressed a little bit, bringing more of the spiritual side to the interpretation of dreams or understanding of dreams. But Spiritism brought us a lot of knowledge, a lot of understanding about dreams in the middle of the 19th century. So let's see here what Kardec and the spirits have to tell us, and then we go a little bit deeper on the answers from the spirits. Philip.
Sleep and dreams. Does an incarnate spirit willingly reside in its physical envelope? It is as if you asked if a prisoner likes to remain locked up in prison. The incarnate spirit endlessly pines for its freedom, and the more rudimentary its envelope, the more it wishes to get rid of it.
So the first question as an introduction is asking if when are incarnated, if we willingly happily live in our physical body, and the Spirit tells us that we are like our prisoners in our physical body during our incarnations. Our true home is the spiritual home, and we unconsciously aim to return to it or to free ourselves from our physical body, okay? And that's an introduction to what happens when we sleep. Next.
Does the soul rest during sleep as does the body? No, a spirit is never inactive. The bonds that tie it to the body are relaxed during slumber, and as the body does not require its presence, it travels through space and has direct relationships with other spirits.
Here, when we talk about the sleep, the Spirit tells us that spirit is never inactive, that when our physical body is sleeping, the ties that connect our spirit, us, to our physical bodies is relaxed, and the we leave our physical body and we travel through space, and we have relationships, direct relationships with other spirits. First concept that I'd like to bring here before we go into the next, well, actually, no. Let me talk about dreams after we finish this. This is a very long question. Let's go with it. Luis, you have a question?
Not really a question. I hope I'm not overstepping you here, but the title of this chapter is The Emancipation of the Soul. And I think we should just mention beforehand that this is a term created by Kardec, as far as I know, in the Spirit's book, but he might have mentioned it before in the what's the name of the publication again? The Spiritist Journal in English. How do you call it?
Just review.
The Spiritist Review.
And it means situations of partial detachment of the spirit from the physical body in general. And that's why this chapter is called Emancipation of the Soul. It deals with a number of situations where the spirit temporarily gets away from the physical body. I think it's something that should be mentioned.
Yes. Yeah, very good point. Thank you. Yes, important to mention. The spirit detaches from its physical body, of course, always connect with the cords that connect to the physical body, but it's the perispirit moves away from the physical body. Thanks.
How can we prove a spirit's freedom during sleep? By dreams. When the body is asleep, a spirit enjoys the use of its faculties, the use of faculties it does not possess when awake. It remembers the past and sometimes sees the future. It acquires more power and is able to communicate with other spirits, either in this world or in another. You often say, I had a strange dream, a terrible dream, nothing like reality. You are mistaken in thinking this because it is often a recollection of places and things that you have seen in the past, or a premonition of those that you will see in a future existence, or even in this life at some future time. As the body is slow, the spirit tries to break free of its shackles and seeks, in the past or in the future, any means of doing so. Poor humans. How little you know regarding the most basic phenomena in your life. You fancy yourselves to be very educated and are puzzled by the most ordinary things. You are incapable of answering simple questions that a child might ask, such as, what do we do when we are asleep? What are dreams? Sleep frees the soul partially from the body. When you sleep, your spirit is in the state in which you will find yourself after death. The spirits who are promptly freed from matter upon death are those who, during their life, had intelligent sleep. Such individuals meet with other spirits superior to themselves when asleep. They spend time with them, conversing and learning from them. They even work on undertakings in the spirit world that they discover to already be initiated and completed upon death. Based on this, you should see how death should not be feared, since you die daily, according to the words of a saint. What we have just stated refers to elevated spirits. Those who remain in a state of confusion and uncertainty for hours after death venture into worlds lower than earth when asleep. They are drawn back to these worlds by old penchants or the attraction of desires or inclinations more despicable than those to which they are addicted in this world, in your world. During these visits, they accumulate more shameful and mischievous ideas than those that they had acknowledged when awake. What produces a sense of sympathy in the physical life is nothing more than the fact that they feel attracted to those with whom they have spent 8 or 9 hours of happiness or pleasure. On the other hand, the basis of the unyielding aversion they sometimes feel for certain individuals is also found in the intuitive knowledge they have acquired that those individuals have a conscience that is different than theirs. They know them without having physically seen them. This same fact explains the indifference some people feel for others. They do not care to make new friends because they know that they have others who love and cherish them. Sleep has more influence than you think on your life. Incarnate spirits cannot with the spirit world. Incarnate spirits connect with the spirit world through sleep. This is why higher spirits agree to incarnate themselves among you. God has resolved that they may fortify themselves at the source of goodness during their contact with vice, so that they may not fall into wrongdoing while trying to enlighten others. God opens the gate of slumber through which they may pass to see their friends in the spirit world. It is their leisure time after work, while awaiting their final liberation, which restores them to their true place. Dreams are the recollection of what your spirit has seen during sleep. However, you must realize that you do not always dream, because you do not always remember what you have seen or everything that you have seen. Your dreams do not always reflect the action of your soul in its full development. They often are merely the reflection of the confusion accompanying your departure or return, sprinkled with the hazy recollection of what you have done or whatever has occupied your thoughts in your waking state. How else can you explain the absurd dreams dreamt by both the wisest and the most foolish human beings? Bad spirits also use dreams to torment weak and faint-hearted souls. You will soon see the development of another kind of dream, one that is primordial, but of which you are unaware. This dream is that of Joan of Arc, Jacob, the Jewish prophets, the certain Hindu ascetics. A dream that is the memory of the soul's experiences while entirely free from the body. This is the memory of the second life of which I just spoke. You should try to carefully distinguish between these two kinds of dreams, at least out of those that you are able to recall. Otherwise, you run the risk of falling into contradictions and errors that would be prejudicial to your fate. Dreams are a consequence of the emancipation of the soul. Souls have more independence by the suppression of the active and social life and enjoy indefinite clairvoyance extending to faraway places or those we have never seen, or even to other worlds. This emancipation is what causes the reminiscence that retraces the events from our present or prior lives. The peculiarity of the images of what has taken place in worlds unknown to us, mixed with the present world, produces bizarre and whimsical patchworks that seem to be devoid of meaning. The incoherence of dreams is further explained by gaps resulting from the incomplete recollection of what has appeared to us in our dreams. This incompleteness is similar to a narrative that has whole sentences or sections omitted. The remaining fragments are randomly thrown together with a resulting loss of all logical meaning.
Okay, thanks, Philip. It's a long one, right?
It's unbelievable.
So, when we talk about dreams, there are three types of dreams. There are dreams that we stay connected to our physical brain, dreams that it's sort of confusing. They are just our brain rehashing the happenings of the day and producing confusing memories of what happened to us during our day. The second dream is when we are close to our physical body, our perispirit doesn't move much further away from our physical body. And in that sense, the recollection is more clear. We are able to bring back to us the experiences we are having in the spiritual world. These are the types of dreams we remember when we wake up, and if we write about them, we don't forget. And we wake in the middle of the night and we remember. And third, there are dreams that are our experiences far away from the physical body. If we go to watch a lecture, if we go to have experiences in distant places, in other spiritual colonies or places that are far from where we are. These are the dreams that we have a lot of difficulty in remembering, if we remember at all. According to modern science, we dream around 20-25% of our time sleeping. According to Spiritism, is much more than that. Dreams happen when we have the so-called REM, according to science, the red eye movement. That's when we are dreaming. According to Spiritism, it goes beyond that. These experiences when the spiritual, the very spirit is completely detached from the physical body, they are not registered in the brain. So the science will never find it in the brain, any movement in the brain, because everything that is being experienced by the spirit is by the spirit and the perispirit and not in the physical brain. So when the spirit, the perispirit, that spirit comes back to physical body, it can bring flashes of memories of what they have, what we had experienced, and that is where there is a danger of us creating fantasies out of our dreams, because our brain is very active and very capable of connecting the dots. Just have, if you want to do an experience, just try to read a sentence without any vowel, with the vowels removed from the words. You can read perfectly. You probably are going to understand 90-95% of what's written because our brain is capable of connecting the dots. So what our brain does with these dreams that we bring just as pieces is to connect the dots with what we know and with what we experience in the physical existence. So it creates a story that's not for sure the reality of what happened. So what I normally say is that you bring from your dream a recollection that you had an experience with your grandmother, a very pleasant experience with your grandmother. That's true. You bring the recollection that your grandmother was saying to you that A, B, and C, that everything it was one thing or another. That you have to take with a grain of salt, because it may be your brain working to connect the dots of what you really experienced, and bringing we have our tendencies, our prejudices, our ideas, and we we will input them in our dreams according to our conveniences. So these are basically the three types of dreams that we have. This is more or less what science tells us, and what Spiritism that goes beyond science tells us. The Spirit tells us here. Here I want to go back to one when they say, "Since you die daily according to the words of a saint," is a word said by Paul of Tarsus on 1 Corinthians. Okay. Where do we go when we sleep? Depending on how we prepare for our sleep, if we have our thoughts elevated, if we lead a life of a decent commitment to the goodness, we are very taken to places where we will have enlightened experiences. If we are too concerned with things of the material life or with sentiments, inferior sentiments, we may find ourselves in the more difficult places. We may find ourselves in what we may call the nightmares, which are difficult experiences. Now, a parenthesis here, not all nightmares are experiences that based on our inferior tendencies. Some nightmares may be our work in the assistance of low order spirits in the lower zones. If during our sleep we are used to help spirits rescue spirits in the lower zones, we are seeing all those scenes. We may have the impression that we are living in a night when we are actually working on a positive opportunity. So as for us not to think that all of our nightmares are we are to blame because we are lowering our vibrations. Okay. So I think, and the last thing here, that when the spirits talk about another kind of dream, the one of Joan of Arc, which are presentiments, we are predictions, which are guidances, like Joan of Arc had of fighting for France. The prophets, the Jewish prophets, there is a lot of literature on the prophecies of the Jewish prophecies. Prophecies are a prediction of the future based on what we dream. How can we predict the future if the future depends on our free will? Again, the example that we always give is if you go to the top of a mountain and you see a car coming up and you see a big hole in the road, you say the car is going to fall in the hole. That's a prediction of the future. It does not guarantee that the car is going to fall, because the car may break before it, the driver may decide to go back, many other things can happen. So you are predicting a future that is not 100% certain that is going to happen. So all these predictions of the prophets and of Joan of Arc and this type of dreams are the result of experiences in our dream that may or may not come to fruition. we cannot talk about dreams without mentioning a very important figure in the history of US spiritualism, which is Edgar Cayce, the sleepy giant, which was a powerful medium that would give mostly prescriptions, but also would make predictions, also would make descriptions of what he saw. It's a shame that Paco is not here, but Paco is the one that knows Edgar Cayce very well, and actually he came to us through Edgar Cayce. So it is a very important figure in the US spiritualism, and he used to dream and giving, well, in a state of trance, give his communications during sleep. It's very interesting because he spoke about reincarnation without him personally believing in reincarnation. He was very religious. So all his experiences in the spiritual world, he would say that were not experiences in the spiritual world, was his a second life, as they say here. So it's very interesting when we study about him. But his work is very important in terms of the spiritualism in this country. Okay, I talked a lot about dreams and experiences. Now, questions, comments, please. Luis. Luis, you're on mute. Actually, Danny raised your hand before you, Luis, so I'll ask her question first. She's the birthday girl and she has the right to talk when she wants.
As if I'm getting older too, right? So can the brain, I'm sorry if I missed it, I have some kids with me too. So in these three types of dreams, can the brain register them, or there's just one type that the science can
Two types. Yeah, the second type, when we are the perispirit is closed physical body, it's more or less of an experience that the brain is kind of registering at the same time that it's happening.
Okay.
So the science will be able to see it. It's only the third type, when we are completely disconnected in terms of the perispirit is away from the physical body, that there is no brain activity because nothing is being registered in the physical brain. Everything is happening on the spiritual side.
So this third type, we don't remember at all, or we can still remember?
When we come back to the physical body, we bring the recollections of some things, right? So in the book, I think it's the messengers or missionaries of between heaven and earth, when the lady is taken to visit her son that is discarnated in the spiritual colony, the children's spiritual colony. Andrea Luiz asked the mentor if she will be able to remember everything. And the mentor says, no, she will be able to remember that she had a dream with her son. And she will be happy to be having a dream, but she won't remember the details for children because she was not close to their physical body, and because it's important for her not to remember because it will do more harm than good to her in terms of her continuing living her life.
So the dreams that we might be learning about the future, and then when we wake up, we don't even remember, or it's a mess, like a combination of like craziness that you can't put it together that makes sense, could be manifested as an intuition, like later on. So you were there, you were told something, and then you come with that information, and then you say, oh, I have this intuition. It could be from a dream too, right?
Yes, absolutely. Very good point. We're actually going to discuss this later in the question, but in another question. But yes, a lot of our intuitions are things we bring the spiritual world or remember. Then they come to us in the time of, because it's stored in our spirit. everything spirit experiences, spiritual world is stored there, right? So the physical brain does not remember, but spirit knows it.
So I think I told you before, but there were two dreams I had many years ago that I was attending a lecture you were giving.
Yeah, I kind of forgot, but I remember you mentioning things.
Yeah, like one of the lectures I was just or class, it looked more like a class, a lot of people, and I was just sitting down to watch the class, to see the class, and the other one I was helping people to sit down, like just organizing the, you know, the before the class took over. So it looked like sort of like the same place both times. So this kind of dream, I don't think my brain is making up, right? Like twice, sort of the same place, same feeling, and you were giving the lectures. So you were probably teaching, and there are more things happening that I can't remember.
Yeah. Probably when things are clear in our remembrance, most of the things really happen. Maybe our brain is connecting, some dots are lost there. When is everything confused, the first type of dream, the one that's physical brain rehashing things, nothing makes sense. That's the first one. When things make sense is our experiences in the spiritual world. Now, to make sense of our experiences, when we have to be careful not to fantasize, not to create more than is there. But when you remember things like you are remembering your experience, there is nothing out of the ordinary there to really to say that you are fantasizing or creating, right?
Jean, just a minute.
Yeah.
Yeah, is everyone having hearing some vibration on with drones, or just me?
I'm hearing it too.
I
Okay,
hear
so
it.
John, check your
Yeah.
audio.
It's
Check
not
your audio.
clear. I hear it.
Me too.
Yeah, I'm hearing so with everybody actually also. So I don't know if it's my speaker and my audio. Again, go ahead, Luis.
Thank you. It might be your microphone, but I would suspect your router. But anyway, oops, wrong effect. Anyway, this subject is very dear to me, as you know. I gave classes about it maybe 4 or 5 times. I could speak maybe 2 hours about it, and I would love. Anyway, I was going to say something, but before that, allow me to address Daniela. And if I talk too much, just throw something at me. Regarding the kind of dream that you had, Daniela, I have a personal opinion. When you sleep, you get in touch with other spirits when you emancipate, when your soul emancipates. And those could be spirits of people who are discarnated or incarnated. It does happen for us to be called to assist to classes by ethereal spirits. And it can also happen that, you know, some of us are invited to maybe even give classes. You can understand, you can read those things between the lines in some tests. So it wouldn't surprise me at all that you actually attended to a class, you know, partially lectured by João, and you were there even before you actually met João. It's also explained to us that sometimes when we dream, we get in touch with other spirits, incarnated or discarnated, that we never, have met physically before. So your dream, yes, it could have happened and you had a good memory of it. But also, you probably remember, I believe you have studied Missionaries of the Light, correct? Chapter 4 has a very good description. I gave a class about it once. I don't remember the name of I believe it's Francisco or Alexander, the master there, who gives a class to discarnated and incarnated spirits. And he has a number of incarnated spirits that attend to this particular class. I don't remember if 100, 200 or something. And in the end, he explains that those spirits, after the class, when they awake, they experience, relief. I'm reading in Portuguese and translating. Relief and hope, besides the acquisition of new educational values. They cannot relieve the little things that happen in the class, but they will remember its essence. They will feel revigorated in an explainable way to them, not only to go back to the daily fights in the physical body, but also to help others and to fight with exit to his own imperfections. Their thoughts become clearer, their feelings more elevated, and their prayer more productive, with enriching their observations and work, whatever. Anyway, you might actually have lived an experience where you attended to a class where João was there. Isn't that fantastic? Anyway, the reason I was like, I hope you enjoyed it. Anyway, I couldn't, not mention this, but the reason I wanted to say something, Johnny, is that this is a very long answer. And I think there are some phrases that should be highlighted. One of them is that the sleep partially frees the soul from the body. It's the sleep that frees the soul from the body. This is textual in the question. And later, I don't have your translation here. He says, the dream is the memory of what the spirit saw during the sleep. So here it clearly states that the sleep is what causes the emancipation of the soul, and the dream is the memory. If we go to Emmanuel, we have maybe a more precise view where he says that the dream might be the memory of what the spirit saw during sleep, or it also might be a creation of the physical brain, if I might say that. But I still believe that we have only one brain that extends from our physical body towards our spirit, and it's all one thing. And when it detaches, this thing is thinking something that's not really here, and it comes back, it's get mixed up, but we have one brain and it's extend itself into the perispirit. Sorry for talking too much, and I probably should have even connected to this class. You must cut my microphone.
Okay, I removed my earphone, so I think the vibration will stop now, right? It should be better now.
It's good now, yes.
Yeah. No, it was very good, Luis. I was going to mention that what you mentioned on André Luis, the Missionaries of the Light, because I read today for this class that experience and the description, and it's interesting that Alexandre says that very less than 30 incarnated spirits showed up for the class, because they got distracted, specifically two of them, that they go and go to understand why they didn't show up, and they were, immersed in their own material inferior inclinations, and that's why they didn't show up for the lecture in the spiritual world, the class of Alexander. And I think it was very good that you brought, because I read about it. I was going to mention it, but I had already forgotten. So I'm glad that you brought up. And what else I was going to say here? In terms of what you said in the end, that the brain is only one thing. Well, the spirit is only one thing, but the physical body belongs to the spirit, like the spiritual body. And when the perispirit is away from the physical body, disconnected or loosely connected to the physical body, there is no brain activity per se, if that's what science is trying to tell us. But the perispirit continues experiencing, the spirit with the perispirit continues experiencing things in the spiritual world. So there is some sort of separation there that we need to understand better, and we need to go further to study it. One thing that I want to bring, and I was actually mentioning to Luis before the class, is that I found in the Spiritist Review also the recollection of a spirit that comes to the Spiritist group of Kardec and tells the story of his own dream in the spiritual world. Meaning, when we are in the spiritual world, we can sleep and dream. Okay, how can we sleep and dream in the spiritual world? Well, don't we always say that sometimes we are in the spiritual world and we don't accept the idea that we are dead, that we are still living? We don't recognize that we are, that our physical body is dead. So we keep experiencing the same things that we experience in the physical life. We get tired, we get headaches, and we go to sleep. And we go to sleep in the spiritual world, and we dream. And this spirit actually dreamt of all his past incarnations. And he would talk to the other people that he met during his dream, and he was talking to himself. He was finding out that he was talking to himself. And he was a physician in several incarnations, and he saw his evolution as a doctor, a physician, in several incarnations that he was a physician. It's a very interesting description. It's on the Spiritist Review, but I think it's 1866 or something like that. But I thought it was very interesting. The point that we can also sleep and dream in the spiritual world. And I think it's important to bring this idea here also. Yes, Luis.
And I would add, not only when we think that we are still incarnated. If you remember in Nosso Lar, as we just discussed, André Luiz reports his dreaming and interacting with his mother during a dream, correct?
Yes, absolutely.
And he knew he was not incarnated anymore. So, and by the way, I am convinced through what André Luiz has reported, that when our perispirit has a brain, has an organ called the brain, we suspect similar functions by the description, both when we are incarnated and discarnated. So for me, it's totally understandable that we might be able to dream when we are discarnated.
I agree with
Sorry
you.
about that.
No, it was good that you brought André Luiz and the dream that he had with his mother, because I think it's important also. Elmo, something to add here?
Yeah, just want to make a clarification that when you mean you say there is no brain activity while you're sleeping, you're not say a stoppage of function of the brain, right? The brain continues to function. There's a lot of activity, perhaps even more. What you mean is there is no input of the spiritual activity into the physical brain at some stages of dreaming.
Thank you.
Because no cerebral function equals death.
It's important to bring the doctor to the discussion, to make it clear. Thanks, Elmo. Absolutely.
Extremely pertinent, what Elmo has just said. It's totally true. Not only all the autonomous functions are happening there, but also the cortex is working, just has no sensory input. And part of the time, as Elmo said, we understand that it loses connection, right, Elmo?
Lose connection. What do you mean?
Lose connection to the spirit. I think that's the word in English.
Yeah, I don't know if losing connection is the word, the expression that I used, but I'd say that there is no input of the spiritual activity into the physical brain. Therefore, you cannot recall it.
You said it with much more precision than I did. Thank you.
Okay. Anyone else? All right, so let's go to the next one. Yes, Renato.
I'm just curious about something. It's not that important. So do you know, because sometimes what happened to us in the dreams, and does have an effect on the physical body. Like some people, they're scared, they pee on themselves, and some people you get the point. So
Yes.
do you know, like, for example, usually it's not like that happens to everyone, but usually when you die on this dream or on the spiritual, the effect is to wake up here. The correlation of dying there and waking up here.
Thank you, Renato. Actually, there's a very interesting case that I was going to bring and I was going to forget, and now I remembered. Very good point. The effect on the physical body on things that happen when we dream, right? There is a very interesting passage, again, from the Spiritist Review, the case of a mister that I forgot his name, that dreamt. He was traveling, and he was an engineer, and he was supposed to visit a mine in the following day, and he went to sleep in a type of a hotel close to the mine, and he dreamt that he was going down the mine, and when he was coming back from the mine, going up, it was a 15-minute, more or less, travel from down the mine to up in a small, I don't know what it's called, cage of that time. And he started dreaming that he was seeing the cables breaking on top of him, and that he started getting very anxious. He was still in the middle of going up, so could not see going up or down. It was nothing. He couldn't be saved, and he got stressed and he got scared and everything else. And when he woke up, his hair was white. His hair had become white because of the scare that he had. There are testimonies. But the interesting thing is, he never been to the mine before. His description of the mine was perfect. So he had an experience in the mine. He visited the mine during his sleep, but the experience of him having the accident, of course, did not happen, but it affected his physical body, and brings back what Luis just said, that everything is one, the spirit is one, everything is connected, that the scare was so big that his hair turned white because of what happened to him. We know of cases. So I thought it was a very interesting story, and it was good that you brought. I don't know if I answered the question, because when you were asking, I was thinking about this case, and I may have lost part of your question, Renato.
Yeah, you answered part of the question.
What I didn't answer.
No, because I was trying to get on a specific on because I know dreams, they have different reactions on the physical, but I was curious. It was more of a curious question. Why, when we die on dreams, usually you wake up like real fast here, if you know or heard about something like that? Why usually the reaction is to wake up here?
I don't know. I think my guess is that because of the scare, we wake up very quick. But I don't really know. I don't know. Elmo, do you know?
No.
Yeah. In terms of what I described, Elmo, any in terms of the science, do you know anything? What causes us to have this, you know, the hair turning white and things like that?
No, I don't, and I even suspect that science would severely challenge that story.
For sure. But you know, but the way it's described, which is very interesting, is that how he described the mind, that he had never been there, and he described the whole. He was an engineer, right? So he described the whole structure of the mind that he never seen before. So
Really
it was
amazing.
interesting. There was something else that I was going to mention on this case.
Hey, João, what happened on Liberation, the part of the obsessors on Margarita while she's sleeping? That's not a dream, right? That's something else. That's the obsession per se, right?
Yeah, that's obsession. Yeah. But again, her dreams would be very disturbed because of the presence of all these spirits. When we are surrounded by spirits of that level that she has around her, they are not going to allow you to free yourself from the physical body, right? They were going to make you, your perispirit is going to be a prisoner of them, and they will continue using all their power to influence you. So, you know, actually in one of the cases that Luis just brought on the book, The Messengers, one of the guys that didn't go to the class, Alexandre's class, he was surrounded by three nice, between brackets, ladies that, between quotations, three nice ladies that he called to be entertained in his dreams, let's say, and they didn't allow him to leave the room, and they didn't allow him to leave their company. Okay, so you see the influence that these spirits can have.
Let's say just for sake of curiosity again, if a person has like a heart problems, and you say like this guy, he turned his hair white, and the scare is so big, the person and this ended up dying. Does that is a dying because it? Okay, that's hard to ask. The person dies by because of the dream, because of the condition, both. Can you speculate on that?
I'm going to pass this to Elmo.
We know that the individual who die at sleep, and the autopsy shows that died of cardiac/coronary reasons. But what comes first, and who's going to be able to answer that question?
Maybe the individual when he reports from the spiritual world, right? If he's allowed to access what happened to him. But besides that, I agree with you. It's difficult to say, right?
Yeah.
Thanks.
But you know, if your heart can turn white because of a scare you had in a dream, your heart can stop because of scare you have in a dream, right? That's my logical conclusion. But again, it's only my logical conclusion. Okay. Right, we have 3 minutes left, so we're not going to go into the next question. Anyone else has anything to add, to comment, to ask? We're coming back to dreams next week. There's a lot more to discuss here. But I think it was a good first class. You know, it's always a very interesting subject, and I'm going to search for more details and more sources for us to talk about next week. Okay, thanks, Luis. Anything else, Elmo, to add here? No.
No, very good discussion.
Yes. Okay, so let's stop sharing here.
I find this a very, very interesting discussion. It's one of those things that we all experience, in spite of the experiences being different. And we can compare what we feel, what we remember with what we read. So it's one of those scientific subjects in Spiritism that's very dear, because we experiment it every night, every single time that we're doing a little 5-minute sleep in our hammock. We can bring experiences and attach those experiences to what we learn and discover a little more. So I think it's a fantastic subject.
And one thing that I think is interesting, Liz, is that Spiritism is so much ahead of science in terms of the knowledge of dreams and sleep and dreams, that science is really dragging their feet because they cannot move past experiences with the brain that they don't have much access. A lot of countries do not allow experiences with living individuals, so science cannot really experiment with the brain. So science
Spiritism is science. They will converge, you know my opinion. It is science as well. I hope soon those things will converge, and we'll all, add that knowledge together, and we'll go one step up. But there's still a lot of things to learn. So I'm very optimistic regarding to that.
Yeah, well, that they will converge, they will. In terms of when is the big if. When it's going to happen is what we really don't know. Okay, so this Saturday we have a very, very interesting lecture. I really invite you all to attend. It's by Dr. Vicente Pessoa. He's the infectologist and very good doctor. He gave a couple of very good lectures, but this time he's going to talk about Lincoln, the man, the president, and mediumship. We know that one of the most beloved and popular American presidents, Abraham Lincoln, has participated in mediumship meetings, and how did this affect his personal and political life? And he's going to approach this for us to better understand Lincoln from the Spiritist point of view, taking mediumship into account. So I'm very excited about this lecture. I think it's going to be wonderful. So this Saturday at 11 a.m., make sure that you watch, because I think it's going to, I hope it's going to be great. But, he's a very good researcher. And he speaks a decent English, as you've seen him before. This Sunday, we are studying the Gospel according to Spiritism. We have the 4th class of initiation into Spiritism at 10 a.m. And our book club, we start a new book this coming Wednesday, 2,000 years ago, by Emmanuel. And we are going to study pages 7 to 12 and 15 to 29. What happened to page 12 to 15 then?
It is the introduction, and then there is just blank pages, and then the first chapter.
Okay.
Emmanuel's introduction to his book, he talking himself, and then the story, the chapter number 1. So that's why there's a little bit of fun.
It's a fascinating book. If you haven't read it, I highly recommend. Yes, Luis.
I have to say something, sorry. Please, guys, pay attention to chapter 1. There is a part that has everything to do about dreams, when Emmanuel describes a dream that he had in a past incarnation. So it's something to discuss next Thursday, okay?
Yeah, that's true, all right? As Publio Lentulus, he dreams with his grandfather, right? Yes.
Not his grandfather. He dreams with I can't say. You guys go and read, and we'll talk next Thursday.
All right, Danny, you bring us some material from the study. Great. I think that's it, right? Okay, so the SGNY reopens to the public on March 7, right? Okay, so if anyone here didn't know yet, we are reopening on the Mondays, again, back on Mondays on our spiritual assistance and the passes and the treatment. On a Monday, March 7, we reopen, okay? Tommy, you are the one always asking, March 7, okay? Carol, can you do our final prayer?
Sure, thank you. Infinite Creator and Supreme Intelligence, we are grateful this evening to be together for the Spirit's book, our study, Chapter 8, the Emancipation of the Soul. We are grateful for what we have received this evening. There is so much to ponder, consider, and to study. We are grateful for the leadership, for the teachings, for the teachers, and for the participation of all who are with us this evening. We are grateful to the spiritual benefactors, the good spirits, the helpers, the healers, our spiritual guides, and our guardian angels who are also prompting us, assisting us, guiding us, and inspiring us each and every day. We give thanks for what we have learned, and may we continue with our prayers, with our studies and mindfulness throughout the week, where we are never alone. There is always inspiration as we ask and as we do our part. May we go forth now humbly. We ask for safety and protection as we return to family, friends, loved ones, and co-workers. May we receive the love, light, and peace of Christ within us during the week, during the evening, during the night, and during the day. May we share with others these blessings. May we share the wisdom that we have learned with our fellow men, fellow women, and our family members especially. We close now, and may we receive the love, light, and peace of Christ within us so that we may be freed up to create a greater world, a greater vibration in which these studies can be ascertained and continued. We are greatly blessed, and we give thanks for all that we have received. May we close now and remind ourselves to be beacons of light. Go forth now in peace and gratitude. So be it.